Hey Teslatinos, welcome back to the channel. Today is a very special day. We have a special guest. Elon's Brain is with us. Hey Elon's Brain, how are you?
Hey Tesla, how's it going?
Good, good, good. Thank you for joining us. So we got a lot of people on the Twitter world asking some questions, but there's some things that I would really like to know about you first. So where is the brain from and where does the brain live?
So I live in Southern California, just like Elon does most of the time. And for a living, I'm really just a dumb network infrastructure guy. I work for a company very similar to Tesla. We build everything here in California, and we export about 50% or more of that. So we make a lot of equipment. I can't really say what, and like Elon, he's probably under NDA when he talks to his people, and his people talk to other people, and so I don't really want to divulge too much. But yeah, it's a little bit about me.
Awesome. No, we understand. We understand. There's a secret world out there, and we don't want to intrude into that. So, thank you for that insight. It does sound a little bit mysterious. You must be working with some really high tech stuff. So, let's leave it at that. Um, so, the next question that we have is, do you own any Tesla products?
Yes, I do. I own a Tesla Model 3, first production, VIN in the 14,000s. So I reserved the night of the reveal before I even saw it, reserved online, and it's been a fantastic product. I got it, took delivery in May of this year, the day before Mother's Day, and I haven't stopped smiling since.
So, you're a victim of the Tesla green then.
Yeah, I've been a Tesla follower for a long time, probably since 2010 when I saw my first Roadster. Roadster was sitting there and they were talking about how fast it goes, and you don't need to go get any gas, you don't have to do any maintenance. The only off-putting part was the price, of course. So figured I'll wait, and waited 8 long years to get the Model 3.
You're not the only one. There's a lot of us in the same boat because
Yep.
I remember when that came out, I said like, I gotta have myself one of those. But then, reality hits. The price tag is it was a little bit steep. So, but yeah, like you said, like 8 years later, here we are, and the Model 3 is a reality, and we have it. And talking about the Model 3, how do you like your Model 3?
I love the car. Um, just being able to get in the morning, unplug it just like your phone, your iPad, your computer, you pack everything up, throw it in the car, you unplug the car, hang up the charger, and away you go. And you can be as serene as you want during the drive. It's quiet, it's nice, put on some classical music and chill before you get to work, or you can go up into canyons and get the adrenaline pumping and start your day pumped and without coffee. Or I don't know, I really enjoy driving the car, I really do.
That's great. Have you done any long road trips on your Model 3?
Yeah, we took a trip about a month after we got the car up to Utah for a family reunion, and put about 1,400 miles on that car. Uh, Stopped along the way to charge overnight in St. George, and we put about $44 in supercharging total for the entire trip. That's how much we spent on charging. So pretty cool.
That's great. And how was the whole charging experience? Was it did you find it quick enough, too slow? In that sense, how was it?
I like to take breaks along my way, for traveling. I get fatigued, even in Model 3. I don't have autopilot in my Model 3, um, but even just sitting that long, after a few hours, you want to get out, stretch, go to the restroom. So you plan your stops. Like your first stop may not be around lunchtime, so you'd stop, stretch. 20 minutes later, you're back on the road. Next stop could be lunch. 40 minutes, the car is usually done before you are for lunch, and it was really painless. I mean, we were really impressed with the trip up there and the trip back. The car just drives very smoothly. Uh, no noise, so your ears aren't fatigued by the time you're done. And yeah, the charging was no problem at all.
Awesome. And of everything that the car has, like the looks, the way it drives, the features, what is it the thing that you like the most about the Model 3?
I love the simplicity of the machine. It doesn't have any excuses for its design. It doesn't have any workarounds. It doesn't have oops, we forgot to put this thing on the car. Everything is designed with an intent, and it is designed to be safe, as we saw with the news last week of it being 5-star rated, best car on the road for safety that they've ever tested. That makes everybody smile. Kind of that extra little check in the box when you buy an expensive car like this, and you want to protect your family and your friends when you're driving around. Going back to what I like most, it's just the pure simplicity of the car. The design is just, it's like when you go to IKEA and buy that furniture that has nothing to it but straight lines. It's a lot like that, just nothing to it, and it just puts you at ease when you're in it.
That's great. Yeah, and so since we're talking a little bit about that, you know, Model 3 is just one small part of the Tesla world, the Tesla ecosystem. We know they have the other cars, they have the other entities, divisions like Solar City. Um, what do you think is you know, what what do you think the future holds for Tesla from all these years that you've been following it?
Well, I think people are being very impatient with the company and Elon, uh, as far as the company's present and future. They're not really going to go anywhere. Tesla and Elon, they're just going to keep going and really push towards that grand plan that they have, the big mission. Uh, I don't see him being this dedicated to a company. I followed Elon before Tesla with his PayPal days and other companies he's running, and those were just kind of startups. He gets them going and he bails and does something else. I don't know if he just gets bored or if all these things that he's working on now are his dreams. The SpaceX and Tesla and Boring, and I think Boring was kind of a product of him standing in traffic too long in LA. But the other missions, SpaceX especially, just he has such a passion for it. So in the future, I think we'll see nothing but better things with them. Their products will always improve. I don't know about you, but this last version 9 update was a huge improvement. And cars that have been sold since 2012 got version 9, and that's astounding for a product to be updated over time like that. You just don't see that in many products in the market right now.
So I take it that by your comment, you already had version 9 installed on your Model 3 then, right?
I have, yeah. It was quite a neat present a couple days ago.
Nice. So and from the new features on the version 9, what is your favorite right now?
That's a good question. I mean, I enjoy the video games. That was kind of fun. I did a little video on that. Uh, but I think in the car, just watching all the cameras working finally, detecting the traffic, the trucks, the cars, the people, that's pretty impressive. And again, I don't have autopilot, so I don't see a lot of the other neat features that came along with it. But I know the car has more brains in it. It has more tech than you can even ever imagine until they do cool things like that, where you see the car recognizing things on the road. I mean, that's the computer doing its thing. That's the brain of the car doing its thing. I think that's really neat, and I can't wait to see what else they do with it.
Yeah, you know what? I'm glad that you spoke about that because I was looking at my screen, the past couple of days after I got version 9, and I noticed that the cars surrounding our car in the screen, they look like they're actually invading your inside space in your car, which is kind of
Yeah.
weird. Um, I'm not sure how that relates to the actual behavior of the car, avoiding accidents, keeping distance from other vehicles and other objects, because clearly the car is not using what we see on the screen to consider whether it needs to like slow down, accelerate, or notch a little bit to the left or the right, because otherwise we'll be ping pong balls on the street all the time because it does look kind of weird, right?
Yeah, and I've had instances even before this update, with the safety features where the car has moved out of the way of a barrier or another car, and I believe that's all based on the proximity sensors around the car. I don't think it has anything to do with the cameras. But the forward-facing radar definitely has something to do with early braking. That pops up a little bit more often than I like. But the car in front of you turns red and it starts beeping at you, and it's slowing down fast, and it thinks you should slow down, or have started slowing down anyway. So, uh, yeah, I don't think the cameras are playing much a part of keeping you in between other cars, like you said. Especially within, I've noticed that invasion as well. I've noticed the car looked like it was going to bump into you, and if you're paying attention to the screen, it's a little freaky.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So do you, now that you have the Model 3, do you feel safer on the road in that car, especially now that that news broke out that Tesla Model 3 is actually considered the best, safest car out there on the road, even though there's always the people that are saying, well, that's not how it is. There's other cars that are also 5 stars, but the truth is that the numbers don't lie. And Elon made reference to the actual data. And there's a good graphic. I don't know if you've seen it, but the graphic shows that beyond what is measured and reported, the Model 3 is actually the safest car on the road. Do you feel like that when you're on your car?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen those crash tests like you. The front impact. I mean, no other car has nothing in front of the car to encroach your personal space when you wreck. I mean, if you have a front engine, it's going to become part of you if you smack into something hard enough, and then the side impact. I mean, I watched all the early videos of the construction of the Model 3 and the first responders PDFs that came out way before the release of the car that showed them how the car was constructed and all the layers of steel and aluminum. And you're like, wow, this thing is really well engineered. It's really overbuilt as far as side impact is concerned, especially. And then to see the crash test with that happening with that I don't know what they use. They use some sort of wedge to bump into the car from the side. And to know that if something does that to you, or if you somehow slide off the road into a pole, you're probably going to live. You're going to be bumped and bruised, but you're going to live because of the strength of those sides of that car. That's pretty phenomenal to watch. And then you watch other cars getting squished, and that wedge goes right into the driver's seat. And that doesn't make me feel good. So it makes me feel good to drive the car around knowing that it's a very safe car.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you there. Okay, so let's go to the next question. How about, are you planning on buying another Tesla? And if yes, which one?
Well, yes, I do. We still have an ICE car in the garage along with the Tesla. It's a 2005 Honda Accord Hybrid. I'd love to replace that with a Model Y. And of course, never seeing a Model Y, I think it would fit better as far as a road trip car, even though the Model 3 is a great road trip car. With more people in the car, it tends to get a little more cramped. Hopefully the Model Y will have maybe even third row seating if it becomes an SUV, which seems to be the rumor anyway. My favorite, yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
My favorite car, though, still in the Tesla lineup until the Roadster comes out anyway, is the Model X. I think the Model X is just the amount of tech. I've driven one for 24 hours on loan, and the windshield on that thing is like flying a helicopter. It's really cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That thing is great. Now, how about if the Model Y is actually not a crossover? Because there's rumors. I heard some rumors that it might not be a crossover SUV, or even how the Model 3 is kind of the smaller version of the Model S, and the Model Y is supposed to be like the smaller, more affordable version of the Model X. What if it's something completely different? Will you still be putting down a deposit without seeing it, or do you want to wait to see what it's about?
I'll still put a deposit down because they always ask for deposits before you even see it, at least the hours leading up to the reveal. If it turns out to not be a crossover, it better be something bigger than the 3, and it better not be in a sedan, because why would you have 3 sedans in the lineup? That doesn't make sense. If it's a truck or if it's a bus, like the VW bus that's supposed to come out, which looks like it's going to be delayed again. If it's something like that, something utilitarian, something family friendly, I think that would definitely be something I want in the garage. If it's something that doesn't equate to any of that, yeah, I might be looking at a used Model X instead of the Y.
Okay, that makes sense. Cool. I like how the brain thinks. So, what about this one? Would Elon's brain go to Mars if given a chance?
That's an interesting question. I would definitely go on a rocket. I'm kind of scared of jumping out of airplanes, but being on the rocket and going into space sounds like such a blast. And watching one in person last weekend in Vandenberg just kind of reaffirmed that would just be amazing. All the way to Mars, that's quite a trip.
Would you do
it? I don't know. I mean, 2 years. I don't know if that's round trip or just one way, depending on the rocket you're on, I guess. At this point in my life, probably not. I have a lot to live for here on Earth. If I didn't have anything left for me on the planet and that's the only place I could go, then yeah, I guess I'd go. But right now, I'd love to take a trip around the moon. I think on the BFR, that would be amazing. Regardless of who's on the ship with you, that would just be incredible to see the moon. I gaze up at it all the time. I look at it with the telescope. I look at Mars with the telescope too, but it'd just be incredible to go up in space, orbit around the moon a couple times to come back. Mars would be a stretch for me personally, I think.
Okay.
It just doesn't have the allure that, for me anyway, that Elon seems to love it. He really wants to go up there, but I'd rather just go into orbit and maybe get my taste of space, and then maybe after that you could ask me that question.
Okay, we'll get back to you on that after that. I think I might go. Like if I'm given the chance, I think I will go in a heartbeat. Yeah.
Think so?
Yeah.
How long would you be away?
I'm sorry?
How long would you be away though?
Well, if we have the option of coming back, I would love to go spend some time there and come back, but it has to be built, right? We need a good base, a good protection for people, place to work, place to do research, find out if it's actually going to be possible to do some terraforming on it. But hey, if I'm coming back, I wouldn't mind going and come back. I'm probably just gonna miss my Model 3. That's the only thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I have a couple of questions from a few people. We're running out of time, but I'll probably try to get to a couple of them. There's Chris Johnson was asking if Elon's brain is recruiting henchmen. I don't know what you make out of that one.
In the army to combat FUD and misinformation against Tesla and the family and SpaceX and whatever Elon does, absolutely. I think we are becoming more organized in that, and the community has really come together behind Elon, and really need to fight a lot of that misinformation out there. Not necessarily, I mean, some of the FUD is based on some fact, but it's overblown, and just, yeah, I think I would love to recruit some more henchmen to do my, I wouldn't say my bidding, but to definitely be part of the community, and just do a lot of fact checking. Get people to talk honestly about what the mission is and what Tesla needs to do.
Okay, sounds good. Let's see. The other question is from Sarnia. Sarnia's asking, what's the brain's most humiliating thought? And if we can keep it PG-13 at least, yeah.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't talk about anything terribly humiliating personally. I don't know. I that's a really interesting question.
I myself get humiliated all the time if like I'm thinking that I don't, I'm not performing to the best of my abilities when I'm at work, for example. That humiliates the hell out of me. Um, but I think they're going with a different twist.
I think so too, but yeah, I think you're on the right track as far as how I'd want to answer that question. It's keeping your reputation intact, keeping people speaking truthfully for you. And if you humiliate yourself, um, I don't know. I think it's all subjective too. Like Elon, what he did with Jeff Rogan, uh, people grasp onto certain things, and it becomes humiliating, even though really whoever's viewing it may not think that way. So yeah, I think that's how I'd answer that. I just protect my reputation and keep moving forward, and to not let it get to me.
That makes sense. Okay, and one more question. This one is from Van Loo. I'm going to paraphrase this one because it's a little bit complicated, but how do you either be around or interact with other people without getting in trouble? So I'm guessing that this is referring to Tesla insider information, you being Elon's brain and this and that. That's probably where that question's coming from. But we know that you're one of us. You're one of the Tesla community people, and unless you do have some insider information that you want to share without getting in trouble.
I I don't. At least not as far as Tesla's concerned. No. As far as the company I work for, yes. And I don't know what I could talk about with that regard. And it kind of blows the anonymity of the account away anyway. So keep that out of the picture. But I created the account. Really, I had this idea of it being based on whether or not you can connect Elon's brain and his subconscious directly to Twitter. And it's kind of an idea when I started reading up about Neuralink and what they're doing with that. And I thought, how cool would it to be an unfiltered source without the conscious mind getting in the way? So to interact with that brain. So that's kind of why I did that. And my first tweet when I started it was direct link to Twitter established. That was my very first tweet on that account.
That's great.
And I think it kind of threw a few people for a loop, and they're like, could it really be? I mean, you kind of always have to ask yourself that question when you run across stuff like that. It's like, could it really be that person? You don't really know for sure. And so I had a lot of people kind of poking at me trying to figure out if it really was Elon. And I don't know. I even had one guy call me out, trying to insult me, saying, "You're not really Elon's brain." They're like, "Well, prove it then." I could be.
That's great. That's fantastic.
But yeah, but since then it's kind of morphed into an anonymous playground for me. I do get political on my other account, my personal account, and I've been kind of told with this account on numerous occasions not to get that way. And I appreciate that, because Tesla fans run the gamut, right? Yeah, it doesn't matter the political spectrum. These people are all over the place. Everybody loves Tesla. Could be, GOP, could be liberal, could be moderate, could be a different country with a different mindset. You really don't know. I've had people all over the world with this. So I'm really grateful that what this account has brought me personally. And yeah, it kind of offers a lot more levity as far as where I can go with other people and conversing with them, versus a personal account where there's a lot of times you want to hold back. You want to protect yourself. This, I don't have to. If it gets scary, if people start finding out more information and start, threatening my personal life, then I nuke the account. It's done.
That's great.
So that's kind of the cool thing about the account.
Thank you so much for that. Is there any other thing that you would like to share before we wrap up?
I'm hoping to get more video out there on the YouTube channel, and just as ideas come to me, it's probably going to be based around a Model 3 or I don't know, some other side projects that I might have that has to do with Tesla. I'm an EV advocate. I join a lot of things that EV advocates do, like National Drive Electric Week and Earth Day celebrations, things like that. I love giving people test rides in the car. My tires show that. I'm almost through a set of tires already, and I have 12,000 miles in the car. But I love showing the tech. I love showing people, and that's what we should all be doing. I mean, we have 100,000 cars on the road now, 100,000 Model 3s out there now. And I just saw a tweet from someone that said, we are all advocates. We are all pushing the brand, and we should be. They don't advertise, and they don't really have to, because we're out there showing people that this is possible. This actually exists. This tech is out there, and it's amazing. And, am I a fanboy? Sure. I didn't paint my garage red. I didn't put up Tesla logos everywhere. I know a lot of guys do that, and more power to them. But I like showing people what the car can do and how it can change your life.
Well, Elon's Brain, thank you so much. We're going to keep your true identity secret.
Thank you.
We did not cover one topic that I wanted to cover. Maybe we'll do that on another day, talking a little bit about solar energy, because I know you have some solar going on in your house as well. And I myself am setting up an 11 kilowatt system soon. So, yeah, but definitely thank you so much for the time. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope all of you watching also have good comments. Let us know what you think. Any questions for the brain, shoot them here, put them on his Twitter account. And again, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.